Welcome to the Tour of Turkey. It's stage 2 from Alanya to Kemer today, and the none too small matter of 175 kilometres along the way. Virtually a sprint guaranteed today. We do have a breakaway currently up the road with a gap of 2 minutes and 20 on a very unthreatened, it looks like, main bunch. They are just happy to ride along today, knowing that the management of the day is not going to cause them too many issues. This is the run that they've got along the coastline, almost entirely pan flat with no categorized climbs. There are, however, 3 intermediate sprints which count for points, plus a beauty sprint. And, well, hardly surprising. You should see some of the Roman edifice that we are passing by today. It is quite remarkable. Manavgat is the waterfall, famous in this part of the world. We have Roman theatres, we have ancient streets, baths, temples, you name it. We're likely to see it along the way. Easiest part of Turkey to build on, I guess, historically, and so it has proved. Will Mark Cavendish be building on his success of yesterday? You can almost guarantee it. He said of himself, I feel just so very strong and was much quicker than I thought I was going to be. And it was a rude awakening for just about everyone. So destination Kemer then, a uncomplicated finish. It is moderately narrow. There's your profile. No bumps really to speak of. Welcome to the Tour of Turkey. You join us with a quick look at our breakaway. They went off reasonably early and were allowed to do so. Just homing in on Neris Satoli's Mattia Pozzi in the bright yellow. It's just gone past to your screen. Pozzi with Ahmet Oken of Turku just behind him in the green. Pozzo taking the first intermediate sprint, counting for 5 points today. It really is some extra points on offer on the intermediates. There's Mark Cavendish in the blue leader's jersey. General classification jersey here is the blue of the oceans, of the seas that surround Turkey. Absolutely beautiful it is. Just getting some feed in, as you just saw there. Alexander Diachenko of Kazakhstan, wearing number 1, and indeed his nation's champions jersey, the Kazakh flag across his back. Mark Cavendish looking extraordinarily relaxed. Said Brian Smith yesterday that he felt that he surprised himself with his level of speed, extraordinarily quick.
Well, the break from racing must have done him good, but at the end of the day, it's all about training, and Mark Cavendish is a very good trainer, and was practicing his sprint during the week. So it just goes to show you when you've been forced out of a race a few weeks ago due to illness, that a winner's a winner, and he wanted to come back to winning ways. So it was always kind of set out for him. He would make that decision on the road, but he's come here with a couple of kind of new riders in his lead out. They're looking to defend this jersey today in the sprint. Okay, no time bonuses on the stages, but it was a difficult start for a lot of the riders with the thunderstorms, but as we can see, the weather is fantastic again, similar to yesterday. And yesterday actually caught a few riders out. They were on the start line, and their power meters were showing 16, 18 degrees centigrade at the start of the stage, and I was talking to Adam Yates last night, and it went up to about 32 degrees. So there was a few red patches in some of the riders at dinner last night.
Going into the red yesterday on behalf of his team was Andrew Greipel. Really did a fantastic job. Essentially lead-out man for them, guided them through some reasonably tricky little bits and pieces along the way. And in fact then peeled off to the side. He does have, he is carrying an injury, or is recovering from an injury, as you know, a dislocated clavicle or collarbone. And yeah, he did a great job yesterday for his boys. Properly delivered, I think you might say. Mark Cavendish's team, it didn't look the cleanest lead-out that he's ever had. However, such was the speed that he carried to the line, and it was his turn of speed, essentially, when he needed that extra gear. Just found it, physiologically I'm talking, and delivered absolutely beautifully. Well, there are sprints up for grabs, and these intermediates are what we're dealing with at the moment, which is why the pace has just risen slightly. No points for these guys, but just for now, because you're looking at the main pack. But they are chasing down a 5-man breakaway. The gap just over 2 minutes, but like yesterday, one team's deciding that this mustn't be allowed to stay out there in this fashion. And so Lotto Belisol have decided to put the hammer down. Quickstep did a lot of work yesterday, and it seems that management of the break absolutely essential, especially when the roads are as uncomplicated as this, Brian.
Yeah, this is probably the easiest stage for most of them. They've had yesterday's stage with one mountain categorised climb. That was a third category climb, won by Mark de Marne. He'll have that jersey. He doesn't have to defend that lead he's got in the King of the Mountains because no climbs today. We go in the one direction with the ocean to the left-hand side, and that's where the wind is coming. It's coming from the left of the rider's shoulders. And you can just see that Lotto Belisol, really interested and under the impetus of Greipel, come to the front and want to really push the pace up and split this peloton.
Just look at the flags, they're starting to billow here. It was exactly the same yesterday, Brian, when there was a sniff of a crosswind and they decided to put the hurt on everyone. It worked to a moderate degree, I guess, but I think it put an awful lot more hurt in some of the lesser opponents to the likes of Greipel. He is not back to his best self just yet, and it's sort of a nice rolling team time trial exchange that you've just seen. Greipel just leaving his boys to carry on the good work. They have injected a little bit of pace here. More than that, it's way up. We're only 56 kilometres from the end of today, and it will be action-packed. Let's just talk about the guys who are in the break, shall we? Nico Bohem is up there. We seem to be lingering on the main bunch at the moment. Nicola Bohem of Bardiani is in the break. Likewise, of CCC Polstad is Cherokee Haruxi, I think it is. His father, Henrik, was Tour of Poland champion. Well, that was some years ago. 25-year-old is here in the bright orange of his team. And we are keeping a sensational pace up at the moment. And, well, the holiday traffic continues. Verschoor is also in the break for Team Novo Nordisk. He, of course, that team, I should say, the team which is made up of people with who are suffering under the pressures of diabetes. We mentioned Pozzo from Neri Satoli and, of course, Turku Sekerspor. Some absolutely gorgeous things to look at today. Unfortunately, the airport doesn't really count in my mind as one of those, especially if you've got plenty of Roman theatres and edifice along the way. The wind really is picking up and billowing our notes for the time being, and I think these guys realizing that the weather systems are sort of fickle at the moment. Everyone started off today absolutely in their rain gear and winter gear. It was absolutely horrible. Well, the pace has picked up, as you can see, and just look at the palms. The wind blowing a good one, and it's swinging around to a southwesterly as well. It's not a happy place to be. Turkish Airlines then are doing their stuff, bringing people to this absolutely magnificent country. Antalya Expo stage is what we've got at the moment. Things are just settled down for the time being, but as you can see, that gap is tumbling to the breakaway riders. I think some teams have got plans. We'll take a break. Welcome back, 52 kilometres to go. The attempt at splitting the peloton did not work, unfortunately, for Lotto Belisol and Andrew Greipel's boys. The gap has come down to 34 seconds. 52 kilometres is our distance remaining. Worth a try, Brian, especially with the wind billowing as it is.
Well, Lotto Belisol are always going to try. The thing is, this is Andrew Greipel's first race back after a massive crash in Gent-Wevelgem a few weeks ago. So he's not overly confident of possibly sprinting in a big group of 150 riders. So what he's trying to do is get his team to try and split this peloton up. He's more comfortable probably trying to sprint from a maybe 50, 60-man group, and you know that's what he's trying to do. It's he's probably lost just maybe a wee bit of confidence, as some people do when they have a big off like that. So he tried yesterday, tried again today. He is looking to maybe have a crack at the sprint, because let's look at yesterday. He'd done a terrific lead-out job. He was right up there with just about 1 kilometre to go, so he's got the power. It's just whether he's got the confidence to mix it with the big boys, push and shove a wee bit, which you had to do in yesterday's sprint, because as you said at the top of the programme, Carlton, it got a wee bit messy towards the end. Viviani actually said his press interview afterwards that he was on the perfect wheel, he was on Mark Cavendish's wheel, but kind of lost it in the kind of melee in the last few hundred metres.
51 ago, 46 seconds our gap, and it's sit up time and have a chat. Pace really knocked back today, which should give us plenty of chance to have a chat with some of you. Unfortunately, my Twitter is looking a bit peaky today, unfortunately. However, if you hashtag Eurosport Cycling, we will pick it up because Brian Smith has his, and I'm certainly not going to give you my passcodes. So if you want to go Bryce Smithy or indeed Carlton Kirby, but you hashtag Eurosport Cycling, then please feel free to do so. Brian, you spotted something.
Yeah, that was the red jersey of the King of the Mountains, Mark DeMar, just on bottle duty today. He went out there. The plan was to take that jersey. He looked at the parcours before, and he realised if he took that jersey, then he'd have it for 2 days because there are no King of the Mountains today. And it's always good to get involved with the action. Again, speaking to Henrik this morning and a few of the other sports directors, they're not really interested in getting in the breakaway today. They know it's going to come down to a sprint, and that's why we have got some of the kind of smaller teams, and it's been well controlled by Amiga Pharma Quickstep. So everybody thinking, well, tomorrow's a big stage, so why are we going to waste so much energy in trying to get in the breakaways? We're going to need it all tomorrow because of the difficulties. So a lot of the sports directors have said to their team in the meetings this morning that don't worry about getting involved with any breakaways. As long as a group of 8 or 10 don't go up the road, they're happy with the 5 that they've got there, and they're content to just save that wee bit of energy, because believe me or not, this Tour of Turkey does get hard and hard all the way to the finish. So a lot of ups and downs, rough roads, and it will take its toll. So rather save a bit of energy for the stages to come up rather than kind of waste it and getting in the breakaway today.
Well, you'll be pleased to know I can actually see the screen now. We've got a lovely bright sunshine. Looks like we're heading for another intermediate sprint. They've picked it up. Just waiting for our sprint zone. When's the next one due, Brian? We'll have a check as the paper flutters here. We do have a lot of wind today, and it's going to be a little bit wearisome, I think. Bank on a bike. Burke on a bike. I don't think I would have mentioned that. Watching in Tour of Turkey. Plenty of you here. Galler as well from Down Under. Matt Blythe, Phil Buckley. Please, if you'd like any questions answered, please field them to Bryce Smithy, as my internet is shaky at the moment. This is the densely populated during the holiday season Antalya. It is quite a remarkable place. It's surrounded by these beautiful mountains. There are Roman ruins just about everywhere out there. And Brian.
I just noticed that the break of 5 are now down to 4 now. The sun must have been shining in your eyes there, Carlton. But down to 4 riders now in this breakaway, so we have lost one of them. But just the question on the sprints, Carlton, we've already had a beauty sprint today. That was earlier on, and I believe you have got the result of that. We've already been through the first of the sprints at Serik, and the next sprint's coming up in the last 48 kilometres. One just under 40 kilometres to go, one 11.5 to go. So we've got 2 sprints still to come up, but it's 5, 3 and 1 for the next few sprints, which only goes towards the points jersey.
48 kilometres, minute 9 now. They really have kicked off, and just backing in, unfortunately, it's our son of who has decided that today is perhaps not going to be him. It's I'll have to call him Charuki. I know it's something like Haruksi is the correct pronunciation. His father Hendrik was a Tour of Poland champion back in the day. This 25-year-old finds himself here with the CCC Polestar team, who haven't had as many invitations as perhaps they had hoped so far this season, but very much I think it's actually nice to see the bright orange in the absence of Euskaltel as part of the peloton. Bright and colourful, with most of them are kind of black these days, unfortunately. So it's still essentially one of those sort of transition days today. We're rolling towards the mountains, and as Brian was pointing out a little bit earlier, it is extremely tortuous for a couple of the stages on this Tour of Portugal. Tour of Turkey, I beg your pardon. Mark Cavendish himself describes himself as a half-decent climber. He most certainly is. And I'm just wondering whether, if he wins again today, Brian, whether he's going to start having designs on the title.
On the Tour of Turkey? Yeah. I don't think he'll have designs on the Turkey, because we've been up this climb tomorrow, and it's a bit of a brute. And you know, as I said, that's why it's kind of thin on the ground when it comes to who's going to win this year's Tour of Turkey, because you know, there aren't too many of the general classification contenders. We were looking at them yesterday. We picked out a few, maybe Kudos of MTN Quebec, Sanchez of Cajaruao, Jurasek of Lampre, Dachenko, the defending champion of Astana. Kobo has been touted by Turku. So there's only a few riders. Bago again from Cofidis. They've got the Estonian champion Ryan Taramai. He might, you know, be on good form. We'll just have to wait for tomorrow, but definitely Mark Cavendish will want to try and win this stage today. He's got the confidence. He won it hands down. He won it by at least 2 bike lengths from Viviani and Boss yesterday, and he'll want to try and win this stage today, because they know he'll lose the leader's jersey tomorrow, because as much as Mark likes sprinting, I'm not too sure he can get over the climbs, but tomorrow's stage is very, very difficult.
Pace is up, Brian, or it has been earlier on today. Omega Pharma Quick Step, they're in the place that they like to be. Today's finish is not overly technical. It is extremely straight. However, it's also quite narrow, I feel, along the way, and I'm slightly worried about it if they all come in together.
Well, it does look as if they will come in together, Carlton, because you know, the crosswinds, Lotto Belisol just tried a wee bit before. It doesn't seem to be happening. Now we've got Omega Pharma Quick Step and Belkin at the front controlling things. So I believe we'll have a mass bunch finish at the here in Kemer.
We'll take a break. Back in a moment. 43 kilometres is all that's left, and as you can see, the break have put another minute into the chasers for the time being. The chase seems to be well and truly over. What a glorious picture that is. Umbrella salespeople. An interesting way of offering some shade, I think, to one of the streets in this lovely part of the world. Just talking to some of the riders about the performance of Mark Cavendish yesterday. Some of them saying that he's just on a completely another level at the moment. It's amazing that he takes a break, comes back in such a sterling form as he has done. Eli Viviani was one of those who said, at the moment, Brian, there's just no getting close to Mark Cavendish when he's in this sort of form. And I guess training through his injury, we know what he's been up to.
Yeah, definitely. He's been training hard, and you know, as I said, these riders, especially the sprinters, want to win, and they don't like having to spend a month away from racing. They want to be involved with the racing and want to win. So yeah, he's come back with a vengeance and the motivation, and won the first stage.
He's got a team behind him as well. Kevin de Wert is back and on decent form, and he's their GC man essentially, but with lead-outs like Pataki, like Renshaw, like Stigmans and Gianni Meersman also going very well. And Ilya Kaiser is a huge powerhouse that you know an awful lot of about this Tour of Turkey. It makes a man feel comfortable, and Mark Cavendish is very much comfortable in that role at the moment. He wears the blue leader's jersey. You'll catch sight of it in just a few moments' time. And Belkin, Theo Boss lost out just a little bit yesterday. Did anything go wrong, or was it just a case that everything was going right for Mark?
Nothing went wrong for Theo Boss. As I said at the time, Carlton, that he had the perfect lead out. 250 metres to go, he had the open road in front of him. Okay, it was a wee bit of a headwind, but at that speed, he should have possibly delivered, and two riders got round him. Yeah, yeah.
It's a busy environment being a sprinter. There have been moves and indeed thoughts about putting cameras on bikes. I've seen it before in the United States. I think they did it at the Tour of Utah a few years ago. It is a dramatic place to be. You know, you've been in the heart of it, Brian. That do you think those cameras will ever come? Rear mounted underneath the saddle we're talking about?
I think they will. Technology will always, you know, prevail in the end. And The only negative is you put a camera on your bike, you add weight, and you know, a lot of these riders, especially when it comes to the bike, have got a minimum weight, so they would probably have to revise the minimum weight. So revise the minimum weight with a camera on, so that the consistency throughout. So if you put a camera on a 6.8 kilogram bike, and maybe it's 7.5 kilos, then every bike has to be 7.5 kilos. Not every rider has to have a camera on, but there has to be a minimum weight.
Yeah, the alternative, of course, is just to keep these stats as the regulations as they are, and put a dummy on everybody's bike, just making sure that they go down the underpass and not through the cordon, as you can see. 41 kilometres to go, a minute and 47, and look at the ominous clouds which are beckoning. We've got the wind billowing all over the place, which is why we've been closing doors, shutting blinds, and trying to get ourselves as comfortable as possible so we can basically see what you're seeing. We're still in bright sunshine, but if that rain comes, Brian, it's going to be another element in the mix of the sprint.
Well, it did come earlier this morning when we left off, and the sign on horrendous thunderstorms, but that's cleared, and the riders are in this nice sunshine. But I just hope the clouds stay over the hills in the distance. Well,
a man from Turkey who's not going to be part of this little push, Polster likewise, and it's Bardiani out front with Nico Bohem. He's an accomplished breaker, I think, as Matti Pozzi goes for it once more from Neri Satoli. And Verschoor, a man who took a stage, well, near podium, I should say, in Mexico, is going to be runner-up on this one. Pozzo wants these points, and why not? Took the first intermediate sprint and has decided that this is going to belong to him as well.
I'll tell you what, he's really going for it, these sprints, and that was a flat-out sprint there, and there's 5, 3 and 1 points, and it goes towards the points competition. There is only one sprint per day, and that's the Turkish beauty sprints, and that goes to the classification there, but these are just for points, and the points at the finish, as well as the points at the sprints, classifications 3 at this moment today, go towards the points jersey only.
Young Ahmed Okun has decided to make amends for not being there. No radios here, so he's doing this of his own accord. He hasn't been told by the DS to get his backside up and in front, but there we are, trio chasing him down. It remains 4 riders at the moment. Which GC riders, says Richard Woods, are in this tour of Turkey? I suspect not the top draw of GC guys that might reasonably spring to mind. However, we do have some pretty handy GC riders, and maybe those that are going to be up there towards the larger part of their career. Mohawi Kudos is starting as many people's favourites for this. He went very well in the Green Mountains up to the Genting Highlands in the Tour of Langkawi, and he's here with MTN Quebeca, a team that are very adept at picking out talent and indeed accepting some as well, as you know about Gerald Cholik and the rest. Diashenko, the defending champion for Astana, has to be counted. There are more familiar names, Brian, here, like Luis Leon Sanchez, even like David Rebellin, who at 42 years of age is the grandfather of the Tour. And I guess if you compare Rebellin to Kudus, who's 20, that's 22-year age gap. It just shows you how far-reaching the field is here.
Yeah, it is, but you've also got to take into consideration that Bastogne-Liège was yesterday. Tour of Romandie starts today, and Tour of Romandie is traditionally the kind of place where the GC contenders go for preparation for the Giro d'Italia. So again, that's why we've got so many good sprinters here. We're kind of thin on the ground when it looks to the the climbers, the GC contenders, purely because we have got a big climbing day tomorrow. A majority of the stages are kind of sprint finishes, or an escape group will come to the finish. We've got a second category climb later on in the week as well, so we don't have the big mountains. So if you're here preparing for the Giro d'Italia, it's more for the sprint stages in the Giro than the mountains, and that's why it's situated where it is.
Where this race is situated as well, Brian, in the calendar these days, it's a perfect, if you like, keep good for the sprinters, and essentially that's what this race is about. We do have 2 very tortuous days, but it's a nice bridge for them to spin their legs in as well, ahead of the Grand Tours, and I guess when it fits where it fits into the calendar as well, suits them down to the ground.
It does. Traditionally, Mark Cavendish likes to go to Roman Day, although it doesn't really suit him that well, because last year he went to Roman Day, but he tries to get his climbing legs, because let's not forget these sprinters have to go over these climbs. But he's thought, come here. There's a couple of good climbing days, and it'll be good preparation for him. But it's the first time he's here. First stage he's ridden. First stage he won yesterday. Can he make it too?
We'll see. There are, of course, no time bonuses up for grabs, I'm reminding myself. So it will be more difficult for the sprinters. Mark Cavendish is a half-decent climber. Actually, Andre Greipel, when he is on great form, is also a man of the quick men who can go up the mountains. See him on the Stelvio looking amazing for a fast man. But it really is the quick men's focus today, that's for sure. We'll take a break. Welcome back. Just 36 kilometres to go, and that's going to be eaten up reasonably quickly, because the pace today is going to be at its absolute highest once more as we head in. And yeah, 2 hours of racing with 2 hours deep into this one. The weather played a part at the beginning of the day. Thankfully, it's just eased off ever so slightly. It's not the most arduous introduction to the Tour of Turkey, and that's the way the riders want it.
Yeah, and I think as the excuse me, the race organisation, obviously the race director comes from Alanya, and obviously they wanted to change it around from about 3 years ago when it started in Istanbul. So we start in Alanya, taking Talyan. This is a new finish today. They've never used this finish today, so this is new for the Tour of Turkey. And yeah, it's nice for the riders, because it's a bit of an arduous trip for everybody, the logistics and everything, because obviously they don't bring any team vehicles, team trucks or buses with them. So they get there and they have to do the kind of old-fashioned way, is what I had to do. You know, just team cars and buses, and none of the luxuries that they have back in Europe. So yeah, it's as I said, it's a full day of travelling, but they'll ride into it. And this stage is typically kind of flattish stage, sprint finish, and we're expecting that here.
We have got a decent pace about us, Brian. It's 47 kilometres per hour for the first 2 hours. It seems that the wind, which is swirling around and constantly changing direction, it is wide open towards the finish today. Loads of doors kind of slamming around us, and the flags really are billowing good and proper. I don't know whether we're going to get that rain. But I just wonder whether the wind might be a factor as well. They cut inland, incidentally, fairly shortly, and as they do that, they'll get more protection from the buildings, I guess. It just depends on which way the wind is blowing when it comes to the open highways. But you can see the palms here, they're all over the place. It's not really something you can strategize for at the moment.
Well, it's something that I looked at when we came into the finishing area today, and I noticed that it was a wind from behind, and then just before we came on air, it changed to the right-hand side. So it was, you know, the best place to be sprinting on was the left. And I'm just looking out now, and it looks as if it is now changed round to a bit of a headwind finish now. So it's, as you said, it's swirling, because we've got the mountains in the backdrop, we've got the sea towards or behind us. So again, the wind seems to be swirling around this new town in the Presidential Tour of Turkey here in Kemer.
If you're going to film a helicopter, you need a helicopter. So you need 2 helicopters to film one helicopter. There you go, just a thought. Do you know one of the great unwritten rules of Hollywood? You never hear the helicopter before you see it. There you go. You know the way they suddenly appear around buildings in Tom Cruise movies.
Stealth.
Etc. 34 kilometres to go, less than a minute now. Andre Greipel, I'm liking what he's doing at the moment. He's sort of being a sort of an onboard DS, really. He's carrying out orders in the absence of radios, and well, the orders are his, so he's imposing his will upon not only his own team but also the peloton. I think this is a man who wants to show how much strength he's got during the day, because he's going to have a bit of a deficit at the end of it.
Yeah, he is. He's not in the form he normally likes to bring to the Tour of Turkey, and in fact he loves the Tour of Turkey that much that he holidays here as well for a couple of weeks. So yeah, he likes this area, likes it for training. So yeah, he's just looking for a bit of confidence, leading by the front. And it's not the first time we've seen Andrew Greipel do this. We've seen it do for Mark Cavendish in the past. He's not shy about doing his work on the front or doing his work for the team, and he's a strong rider and a strong leader.
There's a huge garment industry, incidentally, here in Turkey, and a lot of it gets shipped out of this very place over to Europe. If you want some bargains, get yourself over here. Brian Smith usually comes with empty suitcases and goes back with not only those full, but has had to buy another suitcase as well.
So I'm going to get stopped at customs now.
Sartorially elegant he always is, mainly after his visits to Turkey. 33 kilometres to go, 32 seconds only the gap. It seems that the switch of pace is almost constant. It's switching with the breeze today. Somebody's decided to get a marine flare. Well, at least it's giving us some wind direction. There you go. Thank you very much, sir. Put it away somewhere safely, not in your pocket. 33 kilometres then, and just that 28-second gap. And I guess this is pretty workaday for some of these guys today. It's not the most inspiring of routes, I've got to say. And Luca Paolini doing the old meerkat thing, just having a good old look and sizing up the situation. He's a big old battler, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a ticket collector today. He was yesterday. That's the rider at the back of the peloton, making sure everybody's on board and on the way to the finish. So you can just see the gap now coming down to 25 seconds. It's just this breakaway. There's 5 riders originally went away. They lost the CCC Pulsar rider. Now 4 of them are just kind of hanging out there, and you know, they are doomed. Everybody knew that this was going to be a sprint stage and decided not to get in the breakaway.
There we are. Just while we're at it, let's just have a brief think about tomorrow. Finicata El Mali, 2 categorized, 1 climbs, including a climbing finish, which is a tough one. 32 kilometres, 25 seconds, and this beautiful coastal road cut into the hillside. They don't look like they're going to attempt to catch them too quickly, and they're going to let them hang for another 25 seconds.
You said that yesterday.
That's true. Well, I think it was mistimed yesterday. I sort of felt sorry for the guys in the break. We've had our beauty sprint, by the way, and our remaining intermediate sprint will come after 163 kilometres into today's stage. So very, very close to the end. That looks like Dr. Evil's lair.
It's a restaurant. It's a very nice restaurant at the top of this climb, or this hillock outside Antalya.
Well, it's a shame that so much along the way has sadly been passed by. The Ependos Belkis theatre, Roman theatre, and the a stunning street at Perge. Perge, I think they've actually used it to film some of the Trojan War movies of old, Jason and the Argonauts and the rest of it. I know they did some filming in Syria as well as here. Syria with its own problems, of course, as you know, these days. And but yes, just absolutely beautiful country this is, and it's been that way for an awful long time. You can understand why people hang around. I think Brian Smith is already planning his retirement, by the way. Not today, I understand. I hasten to add, but at one point you'd be hard pushed to find a nicer place to warm your bones, frankly, and the food is amazing. I know we sound like we're working for the Ministry of Tourism. We're not. We just love the place. There is Andrei Greipel, a man, incidentally, who's won 9 stages in this tour of Turkey. He is in his pomp, it seems, particularly on this event. He also goes well down under, doesn't he, on a regular
I was just about to say that. He likes down under.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that's his kind of first holiday. Of course, he has to win stages, and he likes coming to the Presidential Tour of Turkey.
My goodness, just check this out. You know that in there's a man with grey hair and a white cat on a dark suit, which he's stroking. I don't know what he's doing, but he'll be in the next movie. Bohem, Vashor, Pozzi and Orkan, the men remaining from the breakaway. And 23 seconds, and this is kind of a cruel side of being in the breakaway. You know you're going to get caught, you know you're doomed, but you know as well that you can't really be seen to just pack it in. And as they pull back. Occasionally you see the peloton also do exactly the same and just maintain that gap.
Well, just earlier when Lotto Belisol came towards the front and the gap came right down to 30 seconds, and then they knew they weren't going to split the peloton, so they sat up. It went out about 1 minute and 47 seconds, and then they started battling against each other in the breakaway. Now they've kind of settled it down. I think it's been hard. It's 175 kilometres. Okay, it's not the most arduous of courses. We come out of Antalya now. We go onto the coast road, which is just undulating, a few tunnels, and then we'll be soon into the finish. We come with a kind of left-hander, right-hander onto the finishing straight, which is about 2 kilometres long and very straight.
It is almost arrow straight. They'll hook in landing. In fact, we're just about to do that once we go over this next sort of headland promontory. And there you see the Blaster men have been here, cutting out this road. Just caught sight as well, again, of the Euro Tour leader, which is an interesting one. The white jersey on the Noisatoli, it's Simone Ponzi. Just explain about that jersey, Brian.
Well, the UCI have split up the kind of continents in the world. So there's an Asia tour, there's America's tour, there's obviously Europe tour. So they've kind of split all the kind of major continents up, and they have got their own kind of competition within their area. And in the Europe tour, the UCI races have UCI points, and the person with the most points, the person that's been most successful. This doesn't include World Tour riders, by the way. It includes second division and third division. So you've got your World Tour, then you've got your Pro Continental teams and your Continental teams. So it's only your Pro Continental and your Continental teams that can get these points. And you're talking about UCI events of likes of 2.2, 2.1, although a lot of the Pro Continental teams they cannot ride 2.2 level races, third division races. So the person with the most points, the most successful rider so far, is Ponzi for Neri Satoli, and he wears that jersey courtesy of being the leader and the most successful rider so far this year in the Europe Tour.
And what's the jersey known as? Is it the Europa or the Europe Tour?
Europe Tour. This is the UCI Europe Tour. So they have, just different categories in the major continents throughout the world. And if you have got the most points, then you wear the white jersey. And obviously, Ponzi's got Europe down the side, and the leader of the Asian Tour has got Asia down the side.
We just caught sight of the sea, and it's that colour which is reflected by the leader's jersey here in the Tour of Turkey. 29 kilometres to go. 28 seconds is the gap now to the breakaway riders, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Welcome back. If you thought the break was in any danger of being caught, you're absolutely right. And I think the peloton decided that that wasn't the game they wanted to play, and so they've been let back off the leash. But having got down to just about 20 seconds, it's suddenly back up to 40. And we've got this long reach. Incidentally, if you're wondering what this creation is, it's not for yachts, it's for fishermen. I don't know what fish decide to come and hide in that little marina area, but or at least it was for fishermen earlier on today. They were having a fishing competition, and there they all were with their nets, presumably having to count the sprats that were taken out of the water at that point. You have to go a bit deeper if you want to get bigger fish. Big fish to fry today for the quick men. It's interesting to see some of the GC guys doing an awful lot of work. Kevin DeVere is the declared GC man, Brian, for Omega Pharma Quickstep, and he's been doing more than his fair share today. I hope he's going to keep something back.
It doesn't look like he's been on the front for the last 2 days for Mark Cavendish. And again, one rider, when you do ride on the front like that, it's it helps your form, and he'll have some races that he'll be able to have a crack at in the next few weeks. So he'll be happy just to ride. I would think that the pressure would be off him tomorrow on the kind of GC day, because it's going to be a big ask for him to ride on the front for 2 days and then try and go with the GC contenders up the mountain to Imali tomorrow.
I guess without those sprint bonuses as well along the way today, seconds-wise, no bonifications, I'm afraid, in the Tour of Turkey. It sort of does stymie the quick men. You'd have to be an extraordinary talent, I think, if you're going to go over all of the peaks as well as take the sprints. But today is most certainly Mark Cavendish's day. I think he'll be the best of the fast men up there. But no individual time trial as well, we need to remind ourselves, to put some extra space on your rivals likewise. So there are a couple of elements to this tour that really do suggest that it's going to be the 2 days, stage 3 and stage 5, that are the big sort-out days.
Yeah, it happened, was it 2 years ago, 2012? The big mountain stage decided the general classification. Last year they added another climbing stage. Obviously, again, both climbs are very steep, and again, with no bonuses in any of the stages, how they're going to split it up. But believe me, these two climbing stages with the steep finishes sort the men out from the boys, and there will be definite gaps with the GC contenders.
It's Jen Love Cycling who's taken a break from her housework to watch it. She says hello to everybody. Likewise, Infidel has written in and says Turkey absolutely beautiful. He said they've stayed away from the European Union. Yeah, but not for much longer, I don't think. Certainly, personally speaking, I think it'd be great if they were welcomed into the fold. But we'll see. There's been a few objections for a number of countries politically, but I'm actually wondering these days, with the way that questions are being asked, is as to whether they shouldn't just stay as they are. Anyway, that's for other people to decide. It is a beautiful country, extraordinarily well managed, and yeah, they're part of Europe in all senses, I guess you might say, bar that. And that being the fact that this is the crossroads between Europe and Asia. And when you come to Istanbul, you really realise it. The Bosphorus there really is the dividing line between East and West. And it's absolutely remarkable just how much sort of cross-cultural stuff there is going on. We'll have more of that as we approach Istanbul, of course, but it is an ancient land with a great deal of modernity, as you can see, and its modern roads were on today, nice and clean, and significantly as well, Brian, no punctures today to speak of.
I think we've only seen one of the riders from MTN Quebec, but fortunately for the Novo team, the Fight Diabetes team, have managed to be puncture-free today so far. They had quite a few yesterday, so they've managed to keep out the gutter. And people don't like it when Andrew Greipel comes up with his teams and puts everybody in the gutter. Yeah. So fortunately, not too many punctures.
Well, you do get a lot of chit-chat as well with people giving you their opinion, but Andrew Greipel, known as the gorilla, doesn't really respond to that kind of sledging. He's just not bothered. Has Mark Cavendish ever won a time trial race as Nugget 48? Well, he's been very much part of hugely successful time trialing teams. He's not in World Tour company. He's not the out-and-out specialist, and you get other time trials. But I'm sure earlier on in his career, he certainly nailed a few.
He won the prologue of the Tour of Romandie once, so he's ridden well in the time trials. If you can go fast, it depends on the length of the time trial. Yeah. Most of the time trials he does well in a short distance, and when he won the prologue of the Tour of Romandie, it was only a few kilometres. So if you can go as fast as that after 100 miles at a race, you can do a very good kind of short, powerful time trial. It's when the time trials get to 30, 40, 50 kilometres, and then obviously the kind of GC contenders kind of take over there. But Mark Cavendish can put in a very good short time trial.
Just look at that, absolutely stunning. If this was in sort of deeper into Western Europe, those hillsides, you can be sure, would be rack full of holiday apartments and the rest of it. But yeah, still an awful lot of natural beauty here in Turkey as well. Fred Manning says, what about the Yates brothers' chances of the GC here in Turkey? Well, it's either or really for Orica Greenedge. Simon Yates we know how well he's been going, and there's always the default of his brother Adam. They're a good package.
Yeah, definitely. This parkour, looking at it, seems to suit Adam Yates more than Simon.
Yep.
But speaking to Simon at the airport, and again yesterday, he suffered over the last couple of races. He's had a wee bit of a cold coming out to Catalonia, where he rode magnificently well. So unfortunately for him, he thinks he's got a wee kind of dip in his form, and hopefully, you know, he'll be able to ride through it in this race. But again, a good performance is what's required, and Adam doesn't seem to think he's in top form at the moment that he was in Catalonia with that bit of a cold. But look out for his brother Simon, because I believe Simon is very capable of winning the stage here.
There we are, and a stage win here, particularly if it happens to be on one of the mountains, which we have tomorrow, can turn into victory, as we know. "22 kilometres to go, 22 seconds is the gap to the 4 men that remain from the breakaway. You see that helicopter down below just waiting for them to exit one of the tunnels today, so riders out of sight. And first to emerge is our friend from Turku, who is Ahmed Orken. It looked like he faded earlier on today, but no, he's still with us. We lost Powell Karuki, unfortunately, a little bit earlier on. He's backed in, and we still have Bardiani's Nico Bohem, and of course Matti Ponsi, who's taken both of well, the first 2 of the day's intermediate sprints. There's another one still to come before we get to the end. Now the pace has come up. You can see how strung out they are. It's not just because of the tunnel. They're on a little rise here, one of the few little bumps that they've got to deal with along the way, but with 18 seconds, it's all done and dusted up front. Theo Boss wants his Belkin boys to do the same, I guess. Unfortunately, at the time of asking, Theo Boss did not have it yesterday. Viviani also getting by him, and of course Mark Cavendish with that amazing turn of speed just found a great gap down the right-hand side, which he had to hunt around for. And once it was there, he was away, and a couple of bike lengths was the winning margin. It was exceptional display of sprinting talent. With 21 kilometres to go, do you want to should we say Mark's a shoe-in today, if there is ever such a thing within cycling, and talk about who might be on today's podium?
Again, I think it'll be the same 3 from yesterday: Theo Boss, Viviani and Cavendish. Viviani might be a lot closer to Mark Cavendish today, but I believe that Mark has to be the favourite from what we've seen yesterday. But Viviani might not be as much as 2 bike lengths back, so it'll be very interesting how they play. And obviously we can see from the front of the peloton, you have got Belkin riding for Boss. Viviani, he's got his Cannondale team in the lime green, and Cavendish, obviously Omega Pharma Quickstep in the predominantly black kit, riding at the front.
We had a crash yesterday. It was Bonifacio, incidentally, that went off for Lampre Merida. Sasha Madonna finished down in 29th place. Jeremy Bescon just having a bit of a magic spanner, the boy from Cofidis, and plenty of red filling your screens, as you can see. We do have Drapac racing here as well. Number 136, that's Bernie Salzberger, just having a brief chat with some of his, well, I think that was Adam Hansen, his Antipodean buddy, also having a brief chat from Lotto Belisol. We've been complaining about so much black within the peloton, but it's red and white.
Red here, yes.
Exactly. You've got a lot of Belisol in the red. You've got Katusha largely so. Cofidis, Drapac as well. I was rather fearful that Turku would go back to their original red, but they're sticking with the green. 20 kilometres to go, 18 seconds now is the gap, and it's kind of muster time, really. I suspect we might well get a big pace crank with 15 to go as per usual.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the wind conditions here. Like we said when we arrived here, it was a bit of a kind of tailwind, kind of swirling round. Before we came on air, it was slightly to the right of the road to the finishing straight. But now looking at it, it seems to be a bit more of a headwind. So again, swirling round. If it is a wee bit more of a headwind, then it will kind of slow the pace up somewhat. So I'm expecting it to kind of really kind of kick off with about 10 kilometres to go, if not a bit less.
19k, 16 seconds. And we have one more intermediate sprint. It comes with 11.5 kilometres from the end, from the line. And I don't think there was no gifts yesterday with the special beauty jersey. They were trying to let the breakaway boys take it, but it didn't quite happen for them. And we sort of felt rather sorry for them along the way. Freddie Robert it was that took it, the Ministry of Culture and Tourism jersey for Wanty Group Gobert, so he's in the white jersey today of that. 16 seconds, they've got a little bit more, but I don't think they're going to be able to hang out there for another, what, 8k, 7.5k, especially with the peloton minded to do their duty.
No, they're dictating the pace of the race at the moment, the 4 riders in front. You could see that when they attacked slightly earlier, one of the riders, I think it was a Bohm of Bardiani, was trying to get back to the peloton, and he thought they eased up in front, and he came back and kept it 4. But they're just doing their job. The peloton now are doing their job. They just want to keep a good tempo. They want to stop any kind of counter-attacks. They're already thinking about it. So they want to try and keep it all together. It's just the 4 riders in front are just not riding fast enough, and they'll soon be back in the fold, I would say, in the next 2 or 3 kilometres.
I think so. Luca Paolini just getting himself back into business. He'll be trying to do his best when it comes to the climbs, and maybe just getting himself in a break one of these days. Who knows? Marco Haller is their chosen sprinter today. We'll see how he rolls. Mark Cavendish, you can't look by him with the way he was set up yesterday. He was very quick to go and thank his team, which he always is. Gianni Meersman was the man who got the hug and the kiss first. Good job he shaved, Mark Cavendish, that is. Yeah, you wouldn't want one of those off Luca Paolini. You'd have to extricate yourself using a machete, I think, such as his, the luxurious nature of his beard. Almost run barefoot through it. It's amazing. 18 kilometres to go. I'm only jealous. 15 seconds is the gap. It appears to be just a little bit less than that right now. And it is As You Were. Colour blocks of all together. And it's Omega Pharma at the front. Or towards the front anyway. We have riders from Cannondale on the nose, working for Viviani, of course, just wants to make sure that things are controlled ever so slightly. Cairo Royal looked lively, and you know, not a team that is a wilting flower at all. Viviani second yesterday for Cannondale, Belkin and Teobos in third place. It was Bonifacio who got the drop for Lampre. It was a bit of a surprise to me, that.
Yeah, it will throw up a few surprises. Even this finish will. Normally that happens in the first stage until everybody gets their kind of ranking, as they say. But normally in the first stage of any race, they start to get some surprises up in the finish. And their legs will be a bit tired today, so we just have to see how things go.
Rebelin was as punctured, as you can see, rear puncture. Coming up was Mateusz Nowak, the young Pole, said, "Do you know you've got a puncture?" He said, "Yes." I know I've got a puncture. Yeah, long and experienced Rebelin. He was down as one of the GC hopefuls and actually is in good form. Brabant Pil is 7th place there at the age of 42 and also went well in the Amstel Gold Race.
Yeah, he's strong. He's always has been a strong rider. He's done the triple, the Ardennes triple, which is obviously the Amstel Flesch and Liège-Bastogne-Liège. So it goes well at this time of year, and he's been looked after. Again, kind of team captain of CCC Polsat, the Polish second division team, and he'll be looked after because they believe that he can finish in the top 10 of this race.
9 seconds only now, the breakaway riders, and yeah, all bar all together, I think you might say. And you might see them just being welcomed into the pack. Here we are as we speak. So there they are, all together. This usually means fireworks, especially with only just about 15 kilometres to go. Wanty Gobert had a good run yesterday. Napolitano only finished in, what, 7th place, though. So he'll be looking to do more today. It is narrow, and Napolitano is the kind of elbows out kind of guy who, I'm not suggesting he gets, he uses those to make space, but nobody seems to challenge him when he's going for it. Are they just frightened?
He commands his space. Yeah. We talked about it yesterday.
Very diplomatic way of putting it.
He goes through gaps, or he makes gaps that aren't there. So yeah, that type of finish yesterday would suit him, but he's getting a wee bit longer in the tooth now, and he doesn't have that same speed and horsepower that he did have. But you can see at the front of the peloton, Carlton, you've got 3 riders, one from Cannondale, one from Belcom, one from Omega Pharma Quickstep. There's only 3 riders controlling the peloton, so that means pretty much the first 160 kilometres of this race, 3 riders have been dictating the pace of the peloton, and most of the riders just been sitting there. The whole Lotto Belisol team is towards the back, so there's a lot of, we call them fresh-ish legs, because obviously we're into the second stage. They've ridden quite a few kilometres already, but this is going to be a pretty hectic, fast finish.
I think this is the calm before the storm, and we might get a bit closer today. Andrea Greipel is a great reader of the events here. He's won 9 stages after all, and so he battle plans it, especially if he's taking the role of lead out, which he did yesterday. He's at the back at the moment. He will move his team towards the fore when he needs to. He knows this race so well, Brian, that he even knows, we saw it yesterday, where the road actually changes, where the widening points are, where the peloton is likely to drift, and where the space will open up, so he gets his team on the correct side to move up nice and calmly and then do battle.
Ah, but this is a new stage. He doesn't know this stage. No, none of the riders know this stage.
He has recce'd it and eaten eaten kebabs all along the way.
The thing about it, Carlton, is they know it's a main road. They know it's like this, so there's plenty of opportunities to move up. We were discussing the wind direction. The wind direction at the finish is kind of predominantly kind of headwinds, maybe slightly from the right. You can see on this main road it is a bit of a headwind. That's why we get the bunching up effect. Everybody knows that they don't really want to go to the front and put the tempo up and use the energy of the team. So yeah, they're just biding their time. There's a lot of teams. You can see Neri Statoli on the left-hand side, fluorescent. They came up for Kiki yesterday. Napolitano, your man, is up in the blue with the white helmet on. So they're all moving up there. But the thing with Greipel, he knows the roads here. He's raced so many and holidayed here. He knows the roads is wide open, so they can afford to sit back, bide their time, and try and come up like they did yesterday late.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Bardiani just working the side of the road. Well, who was their highest placed rider yesterday for Bardiani? Reasonably well down the order, I've got to tell you. In fact, it was Ruffoni back in 26th place. 14 seconds. Sorry, 14 kilometres to go altogether, and this is that little exposed section that we were talking about. Spragley, incidentally, for Quebecer, can't be counted out as well to go reasonably well. He got 10th place yesterday, so in some big company, don't forget, just behind Andrea Gardini. Gardini's Astana boys, they're just to the right-hand side of your screen, and Mark Cavendish is sort of hovering there as well. It looks like he's part of Astana, who are very close to him, but of course he's wearing the leader's jersey. Either get in or get out of the way, I think, was the expression that was being issued there. Kevin de Vert has just done an amazing turn for Omega Pharma. He's the man that's decided to sacrifice himself today, I guess, for Mark Cavendish. You can pick Mark out, incidentally, if you look at the line of black, and then just to the right of one of his teammates is that's Omega Pharma, is Mark Cavendish. There he is. You can actually see him now exposed on the right-hand side of your screen behind the motorcyclist. 13 kilometres to go. Pickup time. You think today's podium will be the same as yesterday?
It's looking very like that, as we see some reaction at the end of the day for this final sprint.
That's it. over the line they go. Points mean prizes at the end of the day. I think they wanted to get that dispatched with, but I wouldn't be surprised if you suddenly see an injection of pace off the back of that sprint. It's now been dealt with. No more hiatus today. It's actually downhill into town, this.
Yeah, it's downhill. We're going to see a reaction, a replay, sorry, here. Looks as if it was Mearsman that just takes the 5 points. Mark Cavendish just taking up that 1 point there. Pretty much, I think most of the peloton have forgotten about that sprint. Not too sure who was second. Maybe it was one of the Neri Satoli. Obviously, you can see that from the fluorescent yellow jersey. But just interestingly enough, I
wouldn't be surprised if it was Orkan, actually.
Yeah, could have been.
To go out of because he's taken 2 of the sprints along the way. We'll get confirmation of that in just a few moments' time. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he went up there. Mark Cavendish had obviously drifted up to get a few of those. Why not? Indeed. So we approach town. We're already having the pre-caravan roll through, and we'll get that result up for you as soon as we can on the final intermediate sprint of the day. Right now, it is that time when everyone's just getting themselves sorted out in their team positions for that run-in. I'm going to have a little bit of a punt, and I'm going to go back to Napolitano, who I think will do better than he did yesterday. Yesterday in 7th place, but yeah, I fancy it. Did you get the man who finished second in that sprint?
Yeah, Pozo, just coming up now, Cavendish taking 3rd. But I was just about to point out there that Mearsman taking points there. He took the 5 points, so I think Mearsman is thinking, well, get these 2 stages out of the way. Cavendish can, you know, he win the first one, try and win this one today, but maybe later on Mearsman is thinking if he can pick some more points up throughout this stage, and yeah, the kind of harder stages, the lumpier stages will suit Mearsman, and maybe he's thinking of the points jersey at the end of this tour.
So it was indeed Pozo had been in the sprints and had taken a couple of the intermediate ones, who decided to have a go and get some more. I think he was sort of neutralised essentially out there by Mearsman, and of course Cavendish was trying to get a few front puncture. Now that's not what you need, especially in a dicey situation late on. Get that changed as soon as you can. Ray Taramay does exactly that, doing a good job as well of just getting it pre-prepped and knocked out. Tried his best, but didn't quite work.
Yeah, it looks as if he's still got the manufactured, you know, obviously safety bits in the front fork there, so he had to loosen it off. And you know, that was a UCI rule that came in that you couldn't file them off like they were doing before, so you had to keep it the way it was off the shelf. So just had to unloosen the skewer, get the wheel out, and get a new front wheel.
Yeah, sort of. I don't know what the term was, but they used to file down those little sort of indents on the forks. I'm trying not to say safety nipples, but that's exactly what they were. 10 kilometres to go. Brian Smith just picked himself back up off the floor. CCC Polestar getting themselves into a, I couldn't think of an alternative word, into place, so tell it like it is. Omega Pharma Quick Step there on the right hand side of your screen. And yeah, Kaya Rural, you know, they have been a bunch of busy boys, and they want a piece of today, or at least maybe just to stay safe.
Well, they tried yesterday, and they were involved with controlling the front of the bunch, and they're really looking for the Italian that's in their team, Lasca. And you know, it's good to ride on the front. Most teams, especially second division teams, would sit back and let the World Tour teams doing it, but I kind of like the second division teams that come up and try and mix it with the big teams.
And mixing it they are at the moment. Everyone wants a piece of the road. Now, it's fine at this juncture because with 10 kilometres to go, Taramay's just going to get himself back on, which is great, or helped by a teammate. Good to see. Confidence working well. And I guess if you're going to have some bad luck, have it then and not with just a few to go. Thank you very much, he says, and gives a worthy slap on the back to Jeremy Bascon. Good job. So Taramay, the Estonian champion, is back with us with 9 to go. It's still quiet, Brian.
Yeah, that's courtesy of the kind of headwind at the front. There's no breakaways left, nothing to chase down. Everybody's just thinking of the sprints. Everybody knows that it's a headwind, so you don't really want to commit. If you're committing now with 9 kilometres to go, you are going to waste 3 or 4 of your riders. So that's why it's the calm before the storm, as you say. They're just going to line up, keep towards the front. This is going to be a late one. This is going to start picking up with about 5 to go. Realistically, the quickest and best lead-outs are from about 3 to go when you hit the front, because you've got to remember, you have got to travel about 55 k's an hour or more to stay on the front of a fast-moving peloton. So how long can you do that for? One rider could possibly do it for 500 metres. Yeah. So if you start from 3 k's out, if you start from 5 k's out, you're going to run out of riders.
You are. We're running out of road now. We've got 9k to go only. Kevin Sealdry's doing a proper job as well within the Wanty Group Gobert. His turn will come later, but it's Napolitano they're thinking about just for now. Oh dear, it's not what you want. That's Van Melsen. Is it?
Bognies?
Yeah, well, maybe.
That's what they're saying. I don't think it is.
No, I don't either. But anyway, there we are. We'll see how he manages to get back in. Yes, I think he's Kev Van Melsen. But
and you were saying about punctures?
Yeah, there we are. All of a sudden, they come. I guess it's when, as with yesterday, as you were explaining, Brian.
Moving up.
Yeah, exactly. You go into the gutter, you find yourself the gravel, and that's where you have your issues. Look at that line for Mark Cavendish of Omega Pharma Quick-Step. He's at the back of it. Wanty Group Gobert want a piece of the action today. Now, Napolitano was picked to get on the podium today. We've reverted to that because Mark Cavendish is in such an extraordinary form at the moment. We believe that he's going to be unbeatable, or should be. Then again, you never know what's going to happen.
Just look, Carlton, there you've got 3 Astana riders just behind Mark Cavendish, so they are playing off the back of Omega Pharma Quick-Step, because they've got
free ride.
They've got a team that's come here to try and win the overall and to look after the sprinter. So Diachenko, the defending champion, has been looked after by a few riders, so he'll have a few riders next to him, and Gardini will have a couple of riders. That's why they're not coming up and doing the big lead-outs, because they don't want to waste too many of their teammates, because they're going in a 2-pronged attack in this race for sprint and overall. Nightmare
scenario. That's Dodi and Modolo, I think, pair of them right there. Get a check on that for you in just a moment. But in fact, not waiting, did they just do a swap? I think they did. Dodi said thank you very much. Palini. So Modolo is safe. You have to forgive me that. Modolo up the road, but yeah, they clearly know who is best in these situations. What a shame. The car finally got there, but just a bit too late, and this will be too late with 7k to go. He may well be a helper for Sasha Modolo, but he's going to be thin on the ground then, Modolo, today, that's for sure. Bonifacio might have to just go for it himself. Look at the work that Wanty Group Gobert are doing in the blue, dead centre for Napolitano. They're really working it at the moment. Viviani and his green jersey, you can see it dead centre of your screen. It's an unusual green at the back of that line of familiar Cannondale green. And so you have all the big boys, the usual suspects, right here.
Yeah, definitely. Like we've seen yesterday, lead-outs left, right and centre. In fact, we've got 3 lead-outs. We've got the Omega Pharma Quick-Step in the kind of black in the left. In the middle, you've got Wanty, the second division team from Belgium, and the lime green with the green jersey at the back is Canada.
And right behind the blue of Wanty is the bright Deglo yellow, all working for Francesco Chicchi, Neri Sotoli. They're all here. Where are Belkin is the big answer, and Theo Boss. I'm sure they will announce themselves, as will Lotto Belisol in their bright red. Katusha starting to send it up the road as well with Marco Haller, the man that they've got in mind. Lots of nervous looks over shoulders here just to see who's behaving themselves and who's making the move. 6 kilometres to go. This is going to be at the very crucial end of it before you know it.
Yeah, they are still waiting and waiting and waiting, so it's up about 30 mile an hour, but the pace will get faster and faster from now on.
And Turku as well, surprisingly up towards the pointy end. We also see that Cofidis maybe thinking about just staying safe, just a little way down. But behind our, on the right-hand side of the road is we have Katusha and we have Lotto Belisol. There's Andrei Greipel, dead centre. So he's got 4 men in front of him. Maybe he's feeling better today. And there on the right, you see Belkin in their black and green. And Theo Boss is right at the bottom of your screen, number 12. Also there. 5 to go. And the pace is more than high right now. And they're spread wide across the road. There's plenty of options here. And they are all taking them. Finding clear space just for now. Oh, and Lampre also just starting to show themselves. This is Viviani's boys in the pink and blue, just behind Neri Satoli. They're cranking up. We've got all lines. They're like they're in lanes.
Yeah, that's what you have to do in these sprints. You put 8 lines down to finish in the last few kilometres, because that's what's playing out at the moment. As Paolini tries to come back to the peloton, just makes it with 5 kilometres to go. But lead out trains left, right, centre. This is brilliant.
Oh, use a camera bike whenever you can. He's taking every single bit of protection. He'll try and rest up, but he's got very little time to actually go and help out his teammates. There they are, 3 of them in the pink and blue, just behind the duo of Neri Satoli that are out front. Kiki is there. Here comes the green jersey on the back of Viviani, with 2 of his Cannondale lime green coloured teammates also there. Goodness me. And also moving in are Bardiani. 4 to go now. Well, the road just starts to waver ever so slightly, but then flattens out. But it is only about 4 metres wide at the crucial end. So effectively 1 lane of what they're using now, which is 3 if you include the hard shoulder.
Yeah, it does. Will get less than half the size of the road with about 2 kilometres going in. It's straight, so we won't have the big lead out. So a lot of the riders are now coming up in their team formations because they want to grab the front as the road narrows with about 2 kilometres to go.
That's exactly what's happening. About 1,500 metres now by my reckoning, and great move up the other side by Bardiani, beg your pardon, by Belkin. But they have been spotted, and here comes Greipel. He's got 2 men. I think it's going to be a Greipel day today. Maybe he feels fantastic. Little bit of a handoff to Paolini, just says, hang on, we've got men coming through, and somebody's just jumped into his train. So Greipel's just in the wrong carriage, as it were, at the moment. Riders backing out of their sprint trains. There's nowhere for them to go except back into everybody else, and it's causing a little bit of discomfort with 3 to go. Here's the waiver. We suddenly lose the hard shoulder, and we're down to just 2 lanes, and it'll go to about 1.5 for the finish. They know this. With 2 kilometres to go, it's Omega Pharma Quickstep that are in the bird seat right now. Everybody is where and how. It is Viviani. Oh, they're going to have a chat about that. Viviani getting all over the shoulders there of Gardini. Well, they don't like each other, and they won't be sending any cards at Christmas. I can tell you that much. There will be words after this, and maybe worse. Right now, that's all played into the hands of Omega Pharma Quickstep. They're out there and in a fantastic position right now with the drive and 2 to go.
Well, that's what they were racing for. They're racing for this point. It's now lined out now. It naturally lines out as the road gets a lot narrow. It's straight all the way to the finish, and Omega Pharma Quickstep have got control.
It's time for your drag race. Haller's looking in a superb position, I've got to say, for Katusha at the moment, but everybody else is hanging on the coattails of an extraordinarily pacey Omega Pharma Quickstep. Mark Cavendish is there. Has he been bullied out of it? In the blue jersey, gets a headbutt in as well, sticks one on, and why not? He says, look, this is my team, pack it in. You're not going to get onto my coattails on this one. Certainly don't block me. Don't play that game, he says. 2 to go, Flamme Rouge coming up right now.
Yeah, United Healthcare coming up on the left-hand side also. So everybody's sitting and waiting. They're trying to play off that Mark Cavendish's wheel. We're 1 kilometre to go now. Mark Cavendish is sitting pretty in 3rd place.
Ken Hansen it is from the blue and white of United Healthcare is now in a great place. That being on the back of Mark Cavendish's wheel. Got a teammate with him as well, just coming up to enforce him. And in the green jersey it is Viviani. Viviani trying to find Mark Cavendish. One of his teammates has already felt the anger of Mark Cavendish, and Belkin are there, and so is Theo Boss. And Theo Boss might have to go for a long one. Viviani stays. He stays. Boss says no. Boss says go. What does Cavendish say with 500 metres to go? Here we are. Heads up, and it's the man. Oh, he's lost a gear. Dropped in at a very crucial moment. That's Belkin done and dusted. Oh, nightmare scenario for them. Still the lead out goes on. Still they drag him towards the line. Mark Cavendish is ready to fire up. It's got Boss with him as well. There was readjusted himself, and here comes Mark Cavendish. Oh, this is a superb run for the line. Napolitano's also in the frame here. They rock and roll all over the place, but it's Mark shoulders above everybody. What a finish that was. Brian, that was about as dramatic as it gets.
With interesting factor, there was Renshaw done a terrific job. He'll be getting the big smacker after the finish from Mark Cavendish there, because he led from about, must have been about 400 or 500 metres out. Everybody was queuing up. As we said, the wind has been swirling. It was a bit more of a headwind finish. Everybody was sitting and waiting for Mark Cavendish to go. That's the kiss. Wasn't the biggest smacker, but it was a nice peck in the cheek there for Mark Renshaw. Mark Renshaw deserves everything he got there. He led Mark Cavendish to his second stage win of his first Tour of Turkey.
You know, that was such a phenomenal delivery. Within the last 600 metres, Renshaw just kept the faith, knowing that Mark was on his wheel. Cav had done a superb job of actually just warning everybody off his case, essentially, and let him have a clean run. Give him a clean run, it's likely to be successful, and that's precisely what we got. Mark Cavendish, absolutely brilliant. Does it again, 2 in a row. What a finish.
Yeah, you're left with Renshaw right on the front. You can just see Theo Boss sitting on Mark Cavendish's wheel. You've got a battle behind. Napolitano's battling, Viviani's battling, and then you get Orica Greenedge involved in their whip up there for Drapac. But as soon as Mark Cavendish goes, you can see Kiki coming up for Neri Sistoli on the left-hand side. He is going quick, but Mark Cavendish just kicks again, keeps everybody at bay, and again wins by a bike length from Kiki. From it looks as if was that Modolo there with Van den Echten coming up very quickly there in 4th place.
What a superb run that was. Heads up right now, and stand up as well, and salute. Mark Cavendish is absolutely back to his best after illness. He's been practicing his sprint training, he says, and it has delivered exceptionally so. Brilliant. Francesco Kiki doing a good job as well of winding back the clock for Neri Sistoli. Fantastic performance by him. It's all about Mark Cavendish, and indeed that leader's jersey secure on his shoulders today. No time bonuses, don't forget.
It was Bonifazio was up there for Lamprey.
Yeah, he's been he went very well yesterday, finished in 4th place. So not Modolo the choice, but Bonifacio. I thought perhaps yesterday he'd been allowed off the leash because Modolo wasn't up for it, but clearly he's on form and delivering. Mark Cavendish says, "Thank you very much, boys." He says he loves this team. You can see it as well. There we are, hands off the bars, and across the line he comes. Bonifacio indeed with 3rd place on the day. Super run by him. He's absolutely on the best of form. We thought Richesi or Modolo would be the choice, but Bonifacio is the man for Lamprey at the moment. Boukmans in 4th place ahead of Lasker. Hansen, Viviani there in 7th place. Just teammate got ahead, but just a warning, you understand. Theo Boss 8th. Disappointed with that again.